What's going on, everyone? So, one of the things that we talked about heavily this offseason is just the depth, size, versatility of this Lakers roster, right? And all the different possible lineups and interchangeable options that you have, and how we can go big, right? If we're playing a bigger team, we can match that. If we're playing a smaller team, we can match that, but still be big by like small standards. You can go a lineup with nothing but 6'8" guys if you want to go small ball, and that's a big small ball compared to most of these teams. You can go with multiple bigs. I mean, you could even experiment if you wanted to and put like Christian Wood at the three because his ability to shoot the three ball, and he's actually pretty decent defending out on the perimeter, right? So you could go with like Jackson Hayes, Anthony Davis, and Christian Wood, just see what that looks like. Like, good luck. Now you got 3, 6, 10 guys that are out there, that you have to deal with and defend. You got multiple ways to match up on a nightly basis and basically meet whichever team you end up running into, right? If you play a team like we saw with Milwaukee, right? And it's a preseason game, I understand that, but you saw that starting unit, which, I mean, starting unit wise will probably be pretty straightforward. But you saw them go with like D'Lo, Torian Prince, Rui Hachimura, Christian Wood, and Anthony Davis. It's a big lineup, right? And because you have so many pieces that are interchangeable, I mean, you could, if you wanted to, put LeBron at the 4, but have him kind of be the point guard, right? And then put like Prince at the 2 and Reddish at the point just for like position's sake. And then have like Vanderbilt or Rui at the 3 with AD at the 4. And now you got like this insane big lineup, but you have a guy in LeBron James who's still probably the best point guard in the league and his ability to play, make, and pass, right? You just need somebody that's capable of bringing the ball up, right? And if he could bring the ball up, well, then there you go. And then give it to LeBron, and LeBron could do the rest, or LeBron could bring the ball up. I'm not saying you do that heavily, but you could do it for, a stretch just to match up and see and look. And one of the things that we've seen Darvin Ham do that I love this preseason is he's just throwing out all kinds of different lineups and trying to get a feel for which units look great, which units look best. And I love that we're seeing all these different looks and all these different interchangeable lineups, right? Because one of the things that I talked and I said I wanted to see with this roster is a lot of positionless basketball. And that is what we've gotten so far in this preseason. We've gotten units out there with, Christian Wood, LeBron, Rui, right? Like Reeves and, D'Lo. And yet you basically, LeBron's sitting at the center position one play, and then the next play it's Rui, and the next play it's Wood, right? And it's just like whoever's in the area, you just go defend that. And you can still do that because you have a bunch of 6'8" guys. Right? You got a bunch of sizable guys. It's such a far cry from last season when our entire roster was nothing but like 6'1" guards. It's really hard to do different lineups, right? Like, so many people got on Darvin Ham about like, oh, he's running all these 3-guard lineups. Why is he doing it? It's like, what is his other options? Like, who else is he supposed to play? Right? Like, Thomas Bryant is literally the worst defensive player in the league. Like, that's not an opinion. That was like a statistical fact. And then you have, like Damian Jones, who was like completely unplayable early in the season. It's like, who else do you have? Your only other forwards are Anthony Davis and LeBron, right? Like, you have Troy Brown, but he's more of a shooting guard. Like, what are you going to do? You play him at the 4? And then the Lakers did go get Rui and Jared Vanderbilt, but still, it's like they're still thin. Like, it's still all the rest of the roster is a bunch of guards. Like, what do you do? And now it's like, even our guards are big for guard's sake, right? Like, Gabe Vincent is literally our smallest player, and he's like 6'3". And it's wonderful because not only do we have size, we don't have size just for the sake of size, right? You have that versatility. You have all these guys that could do so many different things. They can knock down the outside shot. We're actually a very good three-point shooting team, which again is a wonderful, welcoming turnaround. I can't remember the last time where we were this good shooting the 3 ball. And I mean, even the year we won the NBA championship in 2020, we were like 34% from 3. We were like 26th in the league in 3-point percentage, something like that. And now I just don't see that being the case, right? Like, I think we're at least at worst middle of the pack. We're like somewhere in the 15 range. But I wouldn't be surprised if we're like top 10. I don't think we'll be like top 5 or anything like that. But I do think we'll be very good shooting the three ball. And you got multiple guys that can put the ball on the floor and go just get a bucket, right? Rui and his ability to just be absolute butter from mid-range. And then Taurean Prince has even shown the ability to not just be a spot-up three-point shooter. He can put the ball on the deck and get to the hoop, right? You have Cam Reddish, who's 6'8", with like a 7'2" wingspan that can put the ball on the deck and get to the hoop, right? You got so much different looks and options that I don't think we should just strictly stick to positions. And I don't mind, every team in the league runs 3-guard lineups, right? Like Darvin Ham talked about, running 3-guard lineups and getting different looks with guys. Maybe you go with Gabe Vincent, you go with an Austin Reeves and a D'Angelo Russell, right? And some people lost their mind. Some people understood it. Some people lost their mind. But there's a big difference between Kendrick Nunn, Patrick Beverley, who was literally the worst offensive player when he was on the Lakers. Again, not an opinion, a literal fact, right? You have Patrick Beverley, Kendrick Nunn, and like Dennis Schroeder, who's not a shooter, right? So you got basically 3 guards that are all undersized and none of them can shoot, right? Like, that's a big difference than putting Gabe Vincent, who can shoot 38% from 3, D'Angelo Russell, who's 40% from 3, and Austin Reeves, who's 40% from 3. Oh yeah, by the way, Gabe Vincent's 6'3", D'Lo is 6'5", and Austin Reeves is 6'5", right? Like, that was the thing. Like, you look, even Denver ran 3-guard lineups, right? They would go with like a Jamal Murray, a Bruce Brown, a Braun, or even like a KCP, right? Sometimes he ran all 4 of them, Mike Malone, right? So, and the difference was, though, you look at Jamal Murray, it's like, okay, well, he's 6'4", right? You got Brown, who's like 6'4", 6'5". You got KCP, who's like 6'5". You got Braun, who's 6'5", right? Like, it's different when you actually have size at the guard position rather than guards that are undersized. And they can all shoot. So you can run that unit and run that look, and it doesn't have the impact. But I really hope Darvin Ham continues, which I do believe he will. I don't see why he wouldn't. He's talked about it heavily this offseason, that he wants to do that and experiment with these different lineups. And look, I've said it before, like, let's get weird. I'm so glad Darvin Ham is experimenting and throwing out different lineups and throwing out different looks, right? Like, let's see what random lineup looks like. Right? You got guys that can handle the ball. I love that Darvin Ham put Taurean Prince at the 2. It's something I've been screaming all offseason. From the moment we got Taurean Prince, I was like, dude, we can play the 2. And I even had people push back and be like, Taurean Prince can't play the 2. Why not? He's played the 3 for a good majority of his career. And what's the difference between playing the 3 guard or playing the 3 forward position and then playing the 2 guard? Nothing. It's the same position. Even the 4, it's the same position in today's NBA. You hit the open 3 and you defend the guy in front of you. Like, we're not in this NBA where, we have all these trees and it's just like this. No, the NBA today in a lot of ways is just positionless basketball. The problem is the Lakers just haven't had the pieces to play positionless basketball. And I've made videos trying to dive into, like, look, we need to play positionless. Obviously you have positions for the sake of positions, but that doesn't mean you have to have a Gabe Vincent in the game. All you need is somebody that can bring the ball up and play make and, run some different sets. So it's not just ISO heavy and just, a stagnant offense. So you do need somebody that can actually deliver and play make, but you have a LeBron James who is capable of doing that at 6'8", right? And I know he doesn't want to play point guard. I'm not saying he necessarily has to. But then all you need is just to put somebody in the game that can handle the ball well enough to not turn it over, right? We've seen Rui bring the ball up, right? We've seen, Anthony Davis bring the ball up, right? We've seen guys bring the ball up. So you can run a big, sizable lineup and just need somebody that can bring the ball up without turning it over and give the ball to LeBron, which is going to happen a lot anyway. And then LeBron can go to work. So you don't even need guards in the unit at times, right? And again, I'm not saying you don't ever play guards, but you can do fun different things. I think very likely we're going to see Darvin Ham always have a LeBron, D'Lo, or Austin Reeves on the court at all times, just because those are your three best playmakers, and those are the guys that are going to be able to kind of get everybody going. But outside of that, I would love to see like multiple sizable units, right? Like let's say you have Reeves, right? You have Reeves on the court. He could be the point guard. You put Prince at the 2, Bando at the 3, Rui at the 4, and Hayes at the 5. And then another unit, you have like Reeves, Cam Reddish, Prince, Rui, and Wood or whatever, right? And then D'Lo and Vincent and whatever, right? You can do so much. I love just the different looks that Darvin Ham is throwing out, like genuinely. And it's something that I really am advocating that he continues to experiment in that way. He continues to throw out those options because there's not another team in the league that can match us with those types of things, right? Because there's teams that have size, right? Like Minnesota has 2 7-footers, right? Well, we can match that. But like if we go with like several 6'8" guys, they don't have enough of those guys to do so. So if they and we've seen guys like Rui have huge success with like Karl Anthony Towns and like even Jokic and stuff, right? So like we can run all kinds of stuff, and Darvin Ham's running the 5-out offense, stuff like that. Again, teams have to match us, right? Like if we can still defend at a high level and slow guys down, but they can't match us and they're struggling, we're just scoring at will because they don't have the personnel to handle it. Like those are our advantages. Exploit the weaknesses of the other teams, right? And I think the way to do that is you just run multiple positionless units to where we can switch everything and we can do basically anything and they can't. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, so I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Do you agree with me and loving what we're seeing here as far as like all these different positionless sets and lineups and stuff? Do you think like that no, you should keep it a little more traditional?